And welcome back to part 52 of Neptunia VIIR, where today the entirety of this part is dedicated to the Colosseum. Which is a cool optional thing that you'll eventually be spending most of your time in because of how good the equipment you can get here by spending a lot of time here is. To give you an idea, they're set into two categories. There's a normal category where you fight single encounters, where these can be boss fights. As you can see there, you can fight the Gold Third, you can fight the Goddesses, you can fight the Dark CPUs again. There's all sorts of little cheeky fights that you can do with different rewards. And on the other side, you've got the boss rushes, where it's not every single boss fight from all three acts, but it's the major majority of them. And they're mixed up and rearranged in different ways to make them more interesting. So the entirety of this part is just going to be showing off the Colosseum, starting with the normal fight against the Dark CPU, Dark Purple, which means it's not the last time you have to hear Encounter of Destiny. Although we've already heard the last time we already heard in the plot a while ago, you do get to listen to this magnificent theme once again. Which is upsetting because one of the boss fights in this place is Steamax, and it doesn't play Ninja when you fight him here. And I was so gutted to find that out, because I've made it very clear in Act 2, Ninja is my favourite track in the game, Ninja. And so the fact that it doesn't get to play when you fight him in the Colosseum, it only plays when you fight him in the plot, it's just like, ah. But it is worth mentioning that all the normal fights shouldn't be the reason why you're here at the Colosseum. The Colosseum opens up the very second you start Act 3, and because of that, almost all the fights in here, if you don't decide to do them after you beat the game, will be a joke. You're going to see the moment we open fire against the Dark CPU here, the health's going to drop like a goddamn rock. I'm going to throw Infinite Spirit at it from good old Vert, and just watch that health bar, watch it very carefully. There goes one. Let's see how many more health bars go in this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 health bars went in one attack.
I'll be the one to end this.
That's what I mean. Like the next form attack. I was getting a bit tongue twisted then for a second. Should probably kill it. Let's find out if I do the diagonal blade dance. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There he goes. That's what I mean. It's so. Well, I kind of feel bad for it. But if you get the best equipment in the game and get to like around level 99, stat multiplier plus Neptune break will kill it in one. Like outright, it will just end the fight the moment you use it, regardless of how much health it's on. And you get the wizard hat for IF and a new CD. But now for the main meat of why we're here. These 3 boss rushes, I'm covering all 3 of them because their rewards are way too good to pass up. And if I'm gonna do them, well, I'm not suffering them alone. The rewards are just way too good. You can see the credit reward anyway is really good if you can manage to do them, but that's not the reason why you're doing them. It's the fact that every single enemy you defeat has a chance of dropping incredibly rare gear for your entire party. Rare and powerful gear, so you want to be keeping that on board. However, the reason why this video is so long is something that you're going to have to suffer with the moment you start this. The very first one you do, no matter what one it is, will take an eternity because you have no good equipment. Well, you have good equipment for the main game, but you have nothing good for post-game. Which is why I'm tackling this now, so then when I go and tackle the super bosses, I have, well, the super boss, I have decent equipment for it. Well, there is technically another super boss like that you fight right at the end of the Shenmue Labyrinth, but I've never had any trouble with that thing, so I only really count the one.
I've been waiting.
But I'm not sure how this upload schedule is going to go moving forward, because this part is all done and edited. The next part is almost done editing, so that should be good to go by Friday-ish. But I haven't recorded anything past that because I just can't. I've really been fighting myself to be in the mood to go through the Shenmue Labyrinth, and I need to still unlock the Plunker Zero, and I have no idea how you unlock it. I just kind of got it by coincidence on my blind playthrough, and so I need to try and get that. I'll probably show off the Plunker Zero first, just because Shenmue Labyrinth is such a fucking drag. Like I don't want to pull you all the way through like a 45-minute dungeon, and then say, oh, by the way, here's the Plunker Zero, because no one's going to want to watch that. No one's going to stick around. I don't expect anyone to stick around for the whole of Shenmue Labyrinth. And if they do, more power to you, but I've got to show it off.
Power of Hyperdimension's
Now you're gonna see us. We use the full force of Guardian Force. It's not doing that much. Also, so you can use your boss form attacks. One enemy in the first round is given a boss screen health bar, which is why R4's at the top. And the reason why it's only R4 is because then it's the bare minimum needed to make it so you can use your boss attacks. No other enemy in this boss rush will have it. But all the enemies you fight here have the same strategies that they had when you originally fought them, just with much higher stats. So R4 will be still trying to get a lot of elemental breakdowns on you and trying to poison you. The cursed Warachu is still going to be brutalizing you. Little Warachu is still a useless little shit, and Steamax is still only a threat if you don't let his if you decide not to break his weapons. As I stutter like a moron. And I still haven't got the special skills for this crew. Oh my god. I still haven't got the special skills for Blanc Noir and Vert. When does the penny drop past me? When does it happen? Like, I know it happens because I've recorded footage of me using them. So I know it happens either this part and or the next one. But holy shit, how did I go this far without realising? As we finish off the Steamax. But you can see the amount of effort it's putting into us just to finish this first round is kind of a testament to how long your first encounter with the boss rush is going to be when you don't have that good of equipment. Like, you're going to see in contrast, when we get to the second and especially the third one, they're going to fly by.
What shall I do?
I was half tempted to speed this up and just let some music play, but I was like, no, I need to put a bit more effort in than that. It's too easy to do something like that. You know, I got to commit. I got to do this properly. And even if I did get some music, I wouldn't be sure what to play other than just more Neptunes.
My turn.
Well, I guess I could have played Ninja again,
I'll show you.
or maybe Shogun if I could even find a sound file for it. No, seriously, like, what's the deal with that? When VIIR came out, like, it didn't do as well sales-wise as V2. Because of how it was advertised. It wasn't advertised as a remake, it was advertised as V2 but with VR stuff. And so it kind of went under the radar, not just for like an average JRPG audience, it kind of went under the radar for the Neptunia crowd as well. To the point where I've even heard people call this a spin-off, and I'm like, what? No, it's the fourth main game, you idiots. It's just got VR stuff on it, it's top as well now. It's just got extra side content and a couple extra tracks in the soundtrack. But because it went so under the radar, it's a nightmare to find some of VIIR's music. Like, Ninja's up there because Ninja's such a goddamn good track that people they had to hear it anyway, kind of thing. But Shogun, I don't find it on YouTube. I just can't find it anywhere to listen to. The only way I get to listen to it is either in the game or through the sound tests that's in the game that you unlock every time you hear each track. Which I might show off in its own little bit. Like, I'm still undecided. Like, of little extra things I might show off, like, because my only focus is Neptunia VIIR. Well, listen, the optional dungeons I cover next part, Neptunia VIIR, the Senmeo Labyrinth, and then the VR stuff. But the VR stuff I won't be talking for, just because I want to let you guys because it's all voiced stuff, and it's in the entirety of it is just voiced VR stuff. So I don't want to try and talk over it or talk in between it, because I think it'd be no point. So I'll just make that 4 straight videos. All of them will be about 20 minutes long or so, and one for each of the 4 characters, because the way it works is that you actually unlock these VR sequences as you progress through the second act. Like, when you start an episode, let's say you're on Noir's episode, every time you pass like a chapter threshold, you unlock another VR sequence. The only one you don't unlock is the very last one for each character. They don't unlock until you beat the game. So I'll just be showing them all off back to back like that. So I'll be showing off all the Neptunes and then make that one video. Showing off all the Noirs, that'll be one video. All the Blancs, etc, etc. And the first round, the first wave is done, and then so comes the second wave. And at this one I was like, oh god, because that was such a brutal force just to get that going. And what you saw there, you see me go like out of my next form just to immediately go back up to it. That's because I thought I had HDD release on VIR and I didn't. I was trying to use that HDD release, which, if you recall at all, is what makes it so when you revert out of your HDD form, you restore your health. And I don't have it on VIR, so I just ended up reverting and going, oh wait, I don't have it. Neptune has it, but Neptune's defense is one of the better ones in the team, thankfully, so it's fine. Also, yeah, I am using all 4 CPUs for this fight just so I can get it done. But M Gear's back! Yeah! I've seen you in forever. Good old Metal Gear! Before Konami fucking killed it and everything else they've ever touched. I can't believe, right? Like, don't get me wrong, like, Jeff Keighley's an odd bloke anyway, like, with some of the stuff he supports on them, or bashes. Like, I can't believe we live in a day and age where 3 years ago he bashed on Konami for not letting Kojima attend the Game Awards to be president of his own game. Well, oh no, it's close to 4 years now, it was 2015. And yet this same Jeff Keighley is now advertising on his Twitter that Konami is making an appearance on Tokyo Game Show. It's like, what? No, don't support them! The only reason they'll be coming back to the game industry is because laws are getting tighter on pachinko machines in Japan, so they can't just use it to make money anymore. And I mean, did you see the last video game attempt they made, Metal Gear Survive? You had to pay for extra save files, you had to pay for an extra weapon custom loadout. You had to pay for everything as well as the game.
I choose you.
What? Don't support it. Don't pretend it's a good thing. It's the same thing with Google Stadia, it baffles me. Like, the amount of companies, like even like smaller companies I would have thought would have stayed far away from, like THQ Nordic. They're like, are you guys excited for Google Stadia? And every single comment on every single forum is just, that's a negative, Captain. Because it's just, you can only stream stuff, so it's giving the developers complete control over the entertainment and not, you know, the fans, the people who actually pay money into it. And so no one wants that. And especially because Google have an unfortunate track record, or if something doesn't work out straight away, they fucking abandon it without a second's thought to the people who use it. And if you're only allowed to stream games which you have to pay full price for, if they abandon Google Stadia, they'll abandon those servers, and suddenly you won't have access to those games. It doesn't matter how much money you spend, they'll just be gone.
What shall I do?
And this is Google, they won't give a flying fuck that you can't play your games that you spend money for. They'll just take your money and run, like they always have.
Who's next? Who wants to get defeated?
I don't know, Jeff Keighley's a weird bloke. Like, so he can go out of his way to defend the game industry and call out bullshit, and then will actively support different bullshit and controversies. It's like, what? Make your mind up, man.
Now, what shall I do?
Like, I'll always give him credit for how well organised and well handled the Game Awards always are. Like, I love watching the Game Awards each year. I think they're like some of the best things to watch each year. Well, one of the best shows to watch each year. But Christ, man. I do say that knowing damn well that Death Stranding will probably get Game of the Year thrown at it regardless of the quality of the game, because it still looks boring as shit, but because it's so high profile, like everyone knows about it kind of thing, it could be an absolute turd, and it will still get Game of the Year, especially now that Jeff Keighley's been buttered up by gonna be appearing in the game, even if it's just his appearance and not his voice,
End this.
which I think's really, like, it makes sense, but it's weird, like on Kojima's part. Like, it makes sense, like, for some of them, like, because a lot of the cast, in fact every single member of the cast I've seen so far, is some famous figure of some kind's face slapped on it.
It seems.
Some of them can do voice acting, some of them are god-awful at voice acting. So some of them, they just used their face and had a different person voice them. But, at least to me, I would have much preferred it just be an original-looking character then, and not just slap some famous person's face on it. Because I was already kind of against the idea of having celebrity faces on it,
Who's my opponent?
because it feels like the one thing the game industry has an advantage is now getting tampered for the sake of celebrity fame. Like, the game industry has this luxury, the same with cartoons, the same with any kind of animation, of making their own face. It doesn't have to be a part of this uncanny valley. It can be its own thing. It can be inventive and original. You don't look at any Neptunia cast and go, oh wow, they look like this other character. You don't look at Solid Snake and think, oh wow, he looks like Kiefer Sutherland. You don't look at like some of your favourite characters and think of some celebrity slapped to them. But that's gonna end up happening with things like games like Death Stranding, because you're not gonna look at it and go, oh yeah, that character's called Sam. Everyone from the word go, even after we found out the character's name was Sam, has called him Norman Reedus' character.
Now, what shall I do?
Or Mads' character.
Let's end this.
You get what I mean? Like, no one cares for that character's face. They care for the celebrity icon on it. And so the Uncanny Valley is just there now. It's just, oh, that looks like that celebrity. It doesn't look like an original person anymore.
Target confirmed.
Now it's my turn to go on the offensive.
And I think like the first time I really felt this was LA Noire, but I let off LA Noirs because it was just, it came across more of, it was a necessary step to get the facial capture as on point as it was. Because you know, like how the game focused and all the, like trying to read people's faces and whatnot, they needed everyone's faces to be almost as identical to the real person as possible, just for the sake of getting it there. But everything else past that, I struggle to see it. Like when, like say, like if you like the most recently Devil May Cry 5, where they had celebrity models, well not celebrities, but models come in to be the faces of each of the Devil May Cry characters. And then on top of that, they then did the facial capture separately after making slight tweaks to the faces so they weren't identical to the model. So even then, it still avoided Uncanny Valley slightly, and the facial capture was based on Ruben Langdon for Dante, John Young Bosch for Nero, etc., etc. It was still the voice that was the priority. It was just the face got a bit more of a HD makeover without completely diving into this person looks like that other person. Now they just look like long lost brothers of their original characters, of the original models, because they've just altered it slightly, kind of thing. Like there's still an effort there. Whilst you look at Norman Reedus' character, like there I am, he just looks like Norman Reedus. Like you don't pay attention to the fact that he's called Sam that much. It's just, oh, it's Norman Reedus. Oh, it's Mads Mikkelsen. Oh, it's Troy Baker. Oh, it's Guillermo del Toro. You get what I mean?
Major damage.
Leave this to me.
But changing gears for a second. At the end of the week is Tokyo Game Show. I think it actually starts tonight in UK time.
Prepare yourself.
Maybe even tomorrow. I'm not sure. As you know, it's Thursday tomorrow, so yeah, it's tomorrow I think. And I'm hoping for Capcom. I looked at that teaser trailer for the Project Resistance, and a lot of people have been giving it flack. But if it's what it looks like to me, I think it might be quite interesting, because it looks almost like a Puppet Master game. Like one person like in control of all these traps and machines, or controlling Mr. X, as you saw at the end there with like the mechanical gloves moving along. Perhaps playing as Wesker, as a lot of people have theorised, but we'll see. Whilst another team of 4 are going for this Left 4 Dead style of trying to survive and get through.
It is my turn.
And I think if we can learn a bit more about it and see more of it, which we're going to in Tokyo Game Show, they've confirmed it, we might have something really interesting on our hands. And I really look forward to it, to be honest. I have a lot of faith in Capcom, regardless of their lack of communication or any post-launch content for DMC5 being kinda painful. I still have high faith and high hopes in Capcom. I feel like they've been, with the exception of their fighting games, they've been on a blast recently. These past few years, like I'd say around about the time Resident Evil 7 came out, everything they've released since then has been pretty solid. Anyway, when you enter the last fight in Arena, the music does change, but for the last fight for this boss rush, we get Afimojis and Steamax at the same time, so enjoy that. And then both Afimojis and Steamax do have their stats adjusted for the boss rush, so they aren't the same level they were when you fought them at the end of Act 2. They are a lot stronger. And since Afimojis is technically a final boss, he's the final boss of Act 2, it does mean that he should be your top priority in taking down. But outside of Capcom Tokyo Game Show, I'm looking forward to seeing the next Resident Evil Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer. Just because as much as fuck, I meant to say it again, Final Fantasy VII isn't my favourite Final Fantasy, it's definitely right up there as a really solid game. And there's no denying how inspirational it was to the genre it was a part of. It completely redefined and reinvented it to such an extent that traces of its influence are still found to this very day, and the game came out over 20 years ago. So the fact that it's getting remade at all, even if it's going to be episodic, so I can imagine the whole first game's just going to be the whole of Midgar, then the second game probably all the way to Aerosteth, third disc probably till the until
Who shall I touch?
Cloud goes mad and kind of ends up going catatonic for a while, and then the fourth disc being saving Cloud and then pushing towards the end game objectives. Just then they're all around ish the same length, I'd say.
It's my turn.
But even though they're doing episodic, I'm still very excited for the Final Fantasy VII remakes. It looks amazing. So I am looking forward to that new trailer that's supposed to be coming out tomorrow, I think.
Finish this with Neptune break.
What else from Tokyo Game Show? I'd love Sega to show up. I think Sega are going to be talking about that new Yakuza game, Yakuza 7, which is, from what I can gather, is starting a second saga because you're not playing as Kiryu. Like, Kiryu's adventure finished with the 6th game, Song of Life. I haven't got that far through the series. As you've noticed my upload schedule, I have started the series and I've been going through Yakuza 0. I'm playing from chronological and I'm having a blast so far, so I'm interested to see where their next one's going. So I've heard rumours it's apparently going to be a turn-based JRPG instead of an action game, which is like, okay, sure, but we'll see. But other than that, like, I don't know, maybe a new Sonic game. You know, not to coincide with the film. Like, I think the film should be left alone. Like, I'm sure it'll at least be decent and good for the kids, but I'm not looking forward to it. Even when they redesign him, I'm still not particularly fussed about it. But then I never was. It just suddenly became mainstream attention because Sonic looked that bad. But it'd be nice to find out what they're doing. Maybe for the 30th anniversary. Like, I know Sonic's 28 years old, so it's still got a couple years yet. But if we at least got confirmation that, oh yeah, Sonic is coming for the 30th anniversary. Because they mentioned it very briefly in an interview that they're like working on something, but I don't know, I'd rather get some certainty out of it kind of thing beforehand. Or get an idea of what it is. Because I've heard a lot of people say, oh, they're remaking the original Sonic Adventure. But I don't know if I'd want that, to be honest. Like, the game's great because of when it was released. Like, I feel like regardless of how much you clean it up and remake it, unless you add a shit ton of content and rewrite some of the scripts, it just won't hold a candle to today's standard, which would be a crime shame because the game's amazing, but it's only amazing for its time. Both the Sonic Adventure games, like, if they ever re-release them again on PS4, which I've got a feeling they will do before the end of this generation. Especially now it's been confirmed that there's a push for backwards compatibility in next gen, at least on Sony's part. I can imagine Microsoft will as well because of how financially successful it was making the Xbone backwards compatible, regardless of how poorly the console as a whole sold. I can see a lot of developers who like ported their games to the 360 and PS3 now pushing to do the same with the PS4 and Xbone because they know they won't need to do it again.
Enough boasting. Come at me.
So I've got a feeling the adventure games will show up again. It's just when. I also want to see if Christian Whitehead is working on anything, because there's no way after the sheer success of Sonic Mania that they've just let him go or not got him to work on a new project. They've absolutely got him working on something else. It's just what? That's what I want to know. Whether he's joined the main team and he's helping with the next main line, or whether he's doing a real Sonic 5 or doing a sequel to Sonic Mania or whatever. Also, look at all the rewards we got from that fight alone. And look how many levels we got in that alone. 5 levels there. 6 levels for Blanc. 6 for Escher.
My beauty has been further
Yeah, there's
Yay! I leveled up! Level up!
Alex, I actually enjoyed Team Sonic Racing. A lot of people gave it slack because it's stuck between a rock and a hard place, because when people think kart racers, they're going to pick up Mario Kart. And if they weren't playing Mario Kart, they were getting excited for Crash Team Racing, which I actually didn't like. I thought Crash Team Racing was rough. It was really rough. I didn't really think it was that special. I felt like they just took the original and ported it up and cleaned up the graphics and called it a day. And then added microtransactions and thought no one would notice. Team Sonic Racing dared to be original. And yeah, it didn't hit everything perfect, but I had so much fun with it. As we go into our second boss rush.
Now, who's my opponent?
So You can tell I'm struggling, but I'm trying to find more stuff to talk about. But it's such a long video of just fighting. Like, I need other stuff to talk about. But now we're going to the 0 dimension boss rush. So these are all bosses that we have fought in the first act of the game. So the first 13 odd parts, I think it was, in the game. Which I should have... Like, I've got Uzumi in backup, but I should have really put her in the front lines for this one. It was just because I wasn't sure how long all of them are going to be that I decided to play it safe by having the main CPUs on the front line. Even though they've had quite a lot of screen time, so I should probably give someone else a chance. I should probably put IF and Compa in the team or something. I kid myself. Maybe next game IF and Compa. Whenever Net 5 comes around, if you two actually get to be in the main team and you're not weak as shit, I promise whenever I eventually Let's play that game that I won't completely forget about you. Assuming you're not weak as shit again. Because that's the only reason I don't like using them in this. It's because they were so great in the original game, and they were pretty decent in the second game, and then they got awful in this. Like, I don't know how they are in the third game because it was part of a free DLC that I just didn't get. I didn't really want all the human characters from the first 2 games in my party game, and I thought the goddess teams that you could get were good enough. Also, yes, I just noticed I finally brought that skill. I finally brought everyone's skills. I finally remembered that I could get them. It's like you just saw me do that weird blade dance attack there. Same with Vert here. We got Spiral Break, which used to be the most ridiculously OP attack in the game. In the first 2 games, I want you to imagine this when this fight goes on. Imagine every single hit doing 9,999 damage. I am not kidding. And look at how many times it hits. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Not a shred of your soul shall remain.
12. And even that did real good damage at the end there. But imagine 12 times. It hits in a straight line, so anyone is in the way if it gets hit, and every single hit did 9,999 damage. The final boss would die in 1 use. Most of the super bosses in the original game died in 1 use. If not, they were stupendously close to it. It was insane. Like, I never really complained about it, but it was just so fucking ludicrous every time. And the last special to show off is Blan's there.
What a scrub.
But that was the main reason why everyone used Vert in the first 2 games. Well, yeah, you didn't unlock Vert until much later on, because the second game's premise is that the CPUs are kidnapped, and so for the most of the game, you're only playing as the CPU candidates, giving them some chance to roam in the spotlight. But holy shit! And then it was the third game that they straight up didn't have access to Spiral Break. You couldn't use Spiral Break because they completely got rid of Stage 1 EXEs, which is what Spiral Break was. You could only use Stage 2 and above, so you had to work harder to get them out. And then it was in this game that they brought them back with their new system, but just made them a lot more bearable in terms of balance. Like, they don't do anywhere near as much damage as they used to do. But then on the flip side, the next attacks now exist, and well, you've seen how they just mangle everything to pieces. As we enter the final wave again, look how much quicker that was. It took us like 20 minutes to get through the first one, and this one we've been like what, 7 or 8 minutes, and we're already at the end. I feel like this should have ended with a fight against one of the giants though, since the first act was the one where the giants it was the most significant, because there was only the one you knew of, and it was just this one grey threat that you were fighting against. Whilst in Act 3, it's just kind of like another boss fight, because you fight so many of them. Even if the final boss, well, the proper final boss, Dark Orange, was at least different enough, it was still another giant fight. Well, that's another little thing. In the original, when Noir clicked her finger, you'd hear it click, whilst in this one you don't. I'm like, what changed there? And let's have a look at our reward sheet list of this. Oh my god. You just get so goddamn much for this. And we leveled up another couple times as well. So be fair, that's the other thing as well. Even if like you get unlucky with the equipment, the sheer stack of levels you're gonna get from doing the 3 boss rushes is still gonna help immensely. Because look at literally everyone leveled up at least twice. Now we've only got one less, the Heart Dimension, which oddly doesn't have a fight against Kurome, which I get kind of why, because if you fought Kurome, the only voice lines she has are the ones that directly apply to Uzume in the true final fight, like in the finale kind of thing. So if she then gave her a fight when it was fighting people other than that, her voice lines wouldn't make any sense. But it still would have been cool to just squeeze her in kind of thing.
More than enough.
As we get to listen to Heart Dimension's battle theme for the last time. Well, actually, I say it's not going to be for the last time, because Senmei Labyrinth's based in Heart Dimension. But we get to listen to it again either way. The one that, although I think it's the most fitting, is probably the weakest of the 3 themes, because it feels like it's a bit drony. Like I said, it makes sense for Heart Dimension's setting when you think about the story and what it was doing, but I get tired of it listening to it after a while. And I really felt it when I was going through this. I just wanted to get it done as quick as possible. And I'm starting to skip animations, so I'm waiting to get the boss rushes done. I'm starting to wear out of doing these boss fights repeatedly. Regardless of how good the loot is, you do get bored of this stuff. I'm trying to think of what else to talk about, sorry. I guess I could spend a little bit of time talking about the future, I suppose, whilst this boss fight goes on. Like, as you know, I'm working on Hitman Blood Money as well, which, to be fair, it's all edited, all recorded, and all good to go. I just need to click upload on them. But I don't want to overbear by uploading them all in one go, so that's why I'm holding off and making them every other day alongside this. The only time I had them both upload together was on Monday, because I wanted to have both of them move just a little bit kind of thing. I didn't want to keep you guys waiting for the people who wanted to see the extra stuff of Neptunia, or the people who were waiting to see how things go on with Hitman. Especially because my JRPG-ness for both Final Fantasy and this seems to have attracted a slightly bigger audience than anything else I do, which I kind of gathered be a thing because it's more of a commitment project, so people commit with you kind of thing. And if you have been watching it, you have my thanks. Like, all I'm is just some idiot here talking, so the fact that you come down and watch and listen, and whoever that one guy or dude or dudette is who keeps on liking each video of it, you're the real G, you're the real hero.
Leave this to me.
The fact that you've gone out of your way to watch these and like it enough to click the like button, which is ultimately just means nothing other than it's cool. I appreciate it. It's nice to spread the love, so thank you. But because of that, it does kind of make me want to lean more into what my favourite genre, which is JRPGs. If people like seeing it, I want to do more of it kind of thing. Like, there's still smaller projects I want to do, and I'm fighting with myself because after Hitman's finished, I'm not touching another project until this is completely done, Neptunia, like with all the post-game content, just in case it's not. Like, it shouldn't be too long after Hitman finishes, because Hitman's not a long game. I've been tackling 2 missions per part, and it's still only got like 2 parts left as of this recording.
I can go anytime.
Because there's only, well, it's technically only 3 missions left, because the last mission is only an epilogue piece. And I'm doing 2 missions again, so there's only 2 parts left, so it's not like that. And then Neptunia's got a few things left to do as well. But then after that, like I said, I do want to tackle a smaller-ish project, but at the same time, there is a JRPG that I've alluded to several times for this Let's Play will be the next one I want to cover, not because I love it to death, but because there's a lot really good about it, but a lot really flawed about it that I want to talk about as we go through it, especially because it's getting a sequel, that being Death End Request. And Death End Request, I'm aware, would have me talking even less, because it's even more of a visual novel story focused game than Neptunia. But the story in the world is interesting, and the gameplay was unique enough and different enough from Neptunia for me to really enjoy it. It was just too confusing for its own good, and too short for how deep of a plot it was. And the fact that it's getting a sequel that's going to be fleshing out on these ideas and everything that it is, makes me really excited, and I really look forward to it. Plus, it actually got DLC, so I can show off the DLC dungeons with it, just to stretch out the game length a little bit.
Now, what shall I do?
What's VIIR is only DLC that this game got, was like inventory expansion, since you've only got limited inventory space, which the fact that I've barely brought it up throughout the entire Let's Play is a testament to how non-existent of a threat that is in the first place.
What a scrub.
But I know in the original V2 there were like extra characters that they added as well that they just didn't have in V2R. Like you could play as Umio if you really wanted to.
Opponent is. I'll mow them down.
I'll kill you personally.
Who wants to get defeated? Leave this to me.
As we enter our last fight of this boss rush that's starting to tire me. But I also want to cover Death and Request, because at some point I also want to tackle Dragonstar VIIR, because Dragonstar VIIR is one of the best games I've played this year, hands down, and I'll happily play through that again.
A beautiful victory.
And that one didn't get DLC, and Death and Request did. Like, god damn it.
Level up.
Yeah, but one thing at a time. We've just finished this boss rush, so I think after sorting out our equipment differences and making sure everyone's prepared for whatever we're doing next, I'm going to let my throat recover a little bit, because it is starting to tire for talking for 36 minutes straight. This isn't common for me. As much as I enjoy doing this, this isn't commonplace for me to do so. Also, yeah, one of the things we got was Ragnarok, which is an amazing new weapon. And that's the thing, that's something you got power and accuracy boosted, but all your base stats are lowered. I think I commit to going for it as well, because the boost on everything else is just good enough, but... Oh no, I don't, never mind. Oh, and this is why I find out who actually got new equipment. Oh my god! And somehow none of them are better than the one because I already did an equipment run, like equipping everyone with it. It's why some characters have nothing on their armor even though you've seen them get something. It's because I've already equipped stuff and then sold off what I don't need.
Looks freaking cool, right? You have nice taste. This looks freaking cool, right?
But there's so much stuff for everyone. Oh, beast stuff. Oh, I don't get to equip on anyone. Oh, Rom and Ram are still in their white and black mage outfits. I completely forgot. That's sweet. And yeah, I did put the wizard hat on IF. The one that we got from the very first fight back at the start. She doesn't get anything decent anyway, might as well at least give her that. Now, if it's the damage boost is lowered significantly, but the accuracy boost is insane for that one, which is why you can see I was battling myself with it a little bit. But next time on Neptunia VIIR, we're going to be tackling some optional dungeons and perhaps the super boss. Because Delphinus has got to go at some point. But until then, you guys take care now.